Our next presenter is Amy Lou Stein, and her topic is Indigo, Dyeing the Blues.
This is the oldest known pair of Levi's. They're kept in a fireproof safe that only 2 people have the combination to. Levi's is a $4.8 billion industry, and they started making indigo jeans. Indigo has almost a 10,000-year history. Oh, this is awesome. These are still blue, or this is still blue. It's 3,000 years old, and it's from King Tut's embalming cache. Indigo comes from a plant. There's over 800 species, and only 40 or so will give you color. That's from Indigo tinctoria, which is what I'm wearing right now. We're mostly going to be working with this or talking about this plant, and you get the color from the leaf. Let's see what's next. What else do I have to say about that? I don't know. Oh. So in order for indigo to work, it has to be oxidized. It has to hit the air. And there's a kind of long series of little steps that you have to do to get the dye from the plant. One is that you have to dry the leaf out, and then you have to ferment it. And they do it in different ways all over the world. In Japan, they put it in these beautiful piles, and they ferment it for 100 days. And in India, they put it in these beautiful concrete pools of water where it ferments. And then once the fermentation is done, they go in and they kick and they aerate the water, which is oxygenating it. And what you end up with is kind of the dye floats to the bottom and makes this sludge that looks a lot like brownies when it's dry, like indigo. You'll see it looks like an indigo brownie. And then what they do is they let it dry in these copper molds and they cut it. And then once it's dry, it looks like rock. And they weigh it and they sell it. And for a long time, they didn't know, the Westerners didn't know where indigo came from, and Indians were kind of holding the secret tight. And in fact, a German scientist in the 1700s took out a patent on indigo mining because he thought it was a rock. So they tricked him because it really looks like a rock. By the time I get it and I have to work with it, or we get it and we work with it, it's a powder, and we buy it by the gram. And you have to do a few more steps, again, to work with it. Very similar to what you do to get the dye out of it. Again, you have to make a very alkaline vat. You have to add something to remove the excess oxygen, because you only see the blue when it's exposed to air. And what you need to do is you need to create this thing called indigo white, which you see there is clear. So it will bond with the fiber when you have indigo white. And what you see, the blue on the top is where it's hitting the oxygen. That's oxygenated indigo. It will not bond with fiber once it's been oxygenated. So it's kind of this wild system. And what you need to do is not use a lot of dye, but you do continual dips and oxidizing, dip and oxidize. And this is over 36 different dips to get that depth of shade. It's so it's such a beautiful method to make color. And we've all heard the terms like tie-dye or shibori. That's basically just like knotting, binding, twisting, tying, and you get these kind of beautiful patterns on fabric. Where you see the green there is where it's still oxidizing, so that green area will all turn blue. These 2 pieces were done just using popsicle sticks and marbles. And it's just such an amazing thing that you can do this. This is Ramie, this fabric is Ramie, which is made from nettles, and it's a pillow, and I thrifted those coasters at the Goodwill up the street from here, and I folded it, and I dipped it probably 4 or 5 times to get that depth of shade. There is no green in the natural world, in natural dye, and blue, before synthetic was invented, was the only, or indigo was the only blue, and these are different depths of shade to get green. And the yellow, I believe, is weld in this. There's a nomadic tribe in sub-Saharan Africa. They beat the leaf directly into the fiber. That's not wet. That's just from continual beating. And it's over 10 meters of fabric, and they call them the blue people because the indigo rubs off on their skin. Japan has all these amazing, they have a huge indigo history. This was probably given as a wedding present or to wrap a wedding present. It's called, it's these rice paste resist to get different depths of shade and images. There's all these artists that are doing kind of groundbreaking work now in the 21st century and reviving these old traditions. Jane Callender is a very famous woman who she folds this and then she does little teeny stitches and pulls them very tight and then dyes it. And that's how you get this kind of mandala look. But it's amazing. And then my favorites are Roland and Chinami Ricketts. They're a couple. They do everything in a very kind of traditional way, but they have absolutely contemporary output. This is one of their pieces. She weaves, she's a weaver. They grow all their own indigo. They do everything from scratch. This is a piece called I Am I, We Are I, which means I am indigo, we are indigo. And I would like to say, I am indigo, we are indigo. Thank you so much. My name's Amy Liu, and I have a space in Somerville called Craftwork Somerville where we teach everything I'm wearing.